Empire. Welcome to another episode of College Park. I am Kevin McClinton with my co-host Darren McClinton, and bro, we got a lot to talk about, man. What in the world is going on, man? What's going on? Please tell me, man. Talk to me like I'm a 4-year-old, because right now I don't understand what's going on, man. I was so high on them last week and the week before, and right now, man, I just don't know what to think. Tell me something.
As is a lot of Terp Nation, man. You know, I usually talk about my blood pressure, but now, like Drake say, I'm upset, man. I'm upset.
I am too, but I don't know how did we get to this point? Like,
we're not playing well.
We were a number 1 seed 2 weeks ago. We were a number 1 seed. We were knocking on that door. That Saturday when we played Ohio State, I think three of the top 5 teams that lost. Right before Ohio State, before the Ohio State game.
But we're not playing well. And it just happens to be the wrong time of year to be not playing well. And I'm saying not just as a team, because our defense has plummeted. You know, we can't get stops. We can't keep teams off the offensive boards.
Yeah.
But individually, especially from an offensive standpoint, we are not playing well. Ayala, we need something from you.
Yeah.
Wiggins, we need something from you. Cowan, we need more from you.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you.
Scott, we need more from you.
Right.
It's plain and simple. Sometimes you can talk about the coaching, you can talk about the schemes, you can talk about the how well you've been scouted, but you know I'm a big fan of players play. You know, let's lace them up. Mano y mano, and I'm a big-time player. I'm going to make a play. I'm going to make a play for my team. You know?
I keep hearing, well, big conference, tough conference. I get all that. I mean, all the teams in this conference are good. You know, at least the top 12 or whatever it is are really, really good teams. And I'm not taking anything away from the Big Ten. But if you are a legitimate contender for the national championship, you can't have games like this. You can't lose.
You cannot.
3 out of your last 4 games. You can't. I mean, if it wasn't for Daryl Morcell's 35-footer, we're talking about a 4-game losing streak. You know, and that's not the way. You don't want to be trending down. You want to be trending forward.
The regular season.
To close out the regular season. You know, and I'm starting to see things that bother me. I'm starting to see teams, you know, getting so much confidence shooting the ball. I'm not seeing the will on defense that I saw before. I'm seeing us getting killed on the offensive glass. Michigan State destroyed us on the offensive glass. I think they had like 19 second chance points, 19 points after getting and it's just, you can't have that. Like, you have to rebound the basketball, and they didn't do that against Michigan State. And that's the way Michigan State has beaten us over the last 3 or 4 years. They just pound us on the offensive glass. It has nothing to do with talent. It's just got to do with a will. And then, I mean, Tom Izzo came in there, and you can tell that they were hungry. They were ready to play. Yeah. They were focused. They didn't like what happened in East Lansing a couple weeks ago, and they wanted to make a statement, and they made a big statement.
They did.
You know?
Now, as a shooter, the 2 easiest shots to me in basketball, jump shots, is in rhythm. Mm-hmm. And also second opportunity, where they get an offensive rebound and it comes back out to you. Your toes are pointed at the basket. Those are the 2 easiest shots.
But you're playing with house's money at that time, because you're not supposed to get that shot.
Exactly.
You know, so the pressure is off.
$2 for $1.
Absolutely.
However you want to call it. But these teams are getting these second opportunity shots, and they're burying them. 3-pointers.
Yeah.
You know, those offensive rebounds to kickouts are killing us right now, and to the tune of 44% for Rutgers. I'm not sure what Michigan State shot from 3, but it was pretty respectable, you know. And 50% overall, 44% from 3 for Rutgers in their home arena where they've only lost once.
Let me ask you this, and I'm glad you said that.
It's hard to beat anybody.
It is. Michigan State, okay, we'll chalk that up because Michigan State came back after that loss that they had to Maryland before. You know, it was a big game. It was, you know, all that. We understand that. what the hell happened against Rutgers? Like, they didn't even come to play to me. They didn't come like a team hungry after that Michigan State game. When you lose a game at home, a big game like that, your focus should be on that next game. I don't care where you're playing. I don't care if it's, if it's Rutgers, if it's Michigan State, if it's Michigan, if it's Iowa. I don't care. You got to go in there with a mindset as a good team, as we think they are. You have to go in with the mindset of, you know what, we're going to get this win. And they just fell flat on their face. Like, it wasn't even close. I don't even think the final score was indicative of how bad that game was.
Yeah, and the narrative it keeps coming up. 6 times Maryland has come back from at least 14 points down in the game.
Stop doing it.
You can't keep saying that,
no,
right? And you can't keep relying on that.
No.
Especially when you got guys like Jacob Brown. Did you see what kind of lather he had going? He had 3 straight three-pointers.
Who?
He was bouncing around. Thank you.
Who?
Jacob Brown, right, for Rutgers.
I know.
Guys are having career highs. Guys are feeling a rhythm that they haven't felt since high school or AAU. This is what Maryland's going to get everybody's best shot, and they are. And that's, I keep saying it. It mirrors what they're going to see in the NCAA tournament. Teams that are gunning for you. You're going to be a higher seed. It's a lower seed team that probably dominated their mid-major conference, won the title, and they're coming into the tournament trying to advance to the Sweet 16. And they're going to give you their best shot. They are.
Well,
but if you think about it, hold on, Kev. If you think about it, at Indiana, 1-point win.
Right.
At home against Nebraska, 2-point win. At Minnesota, 1-point win. Buzzer beater. And at home against Illinois, 1-point victory. So those are 4 games where the bounce of a ball or one possession, and you could be on the losing end of those. Now you can look at that 2 ways. You can also say those were mentally strengthening games. You know what I mean? That you were able to pull that out.
Good point.
You can look at it like that, but you can also look at it as those 4 games.
They were damn lucky.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So at this time of the year, towards the end of the regular season, the Big Ten regular season, you should be using those experiences and fighting through adversity. Like teams should, basketball is a game of runs. I understand that. But 17-2 runs, 15-3 runs, that's too long of a stretch of time when you're not playing well.
What's their record in the conference? 13-6? Is that what it is? So those 4 games that you just stated, if those are 4 losses,
it's 9-10.
We're having a totally different conversation right now.
Completely different conversation.
Quite possibly on the bubble.
Buzzer beater, Minnesota, 8-11.
If Jalen Smith doesn't block that shot against Nebraska, we're talking about something else.
Yeah.
Right?
And now that the Terps did something in this Rutgers game that I hadn't seen him do.
Very close.
With 3.5, a little under 4 minutes, I saw 5 guys check into the game. They were all sitting at the scores table ready to check in. Now, I haven't seen that.
Right.
And it was a 21-point deficit at that time, 21-point deficit. And they came in, they were playing energized. They had nothing to lose, and they picked the pace up or whatever. They cut it to a respectable, 11-point deficit. So it was 78-67 final. That wasn't vindictive of how the game went because it was a 20-point loss, really, the way it looked to the fan base.
I got to ask you this, man, and I know because we've got Kevin Sheehan from Sports Talk 980. Team 980 is going to be coming on, host of the Kevin Sheehan Show every Monday through Friday from 7 to 10. We'll have him coming on. He's a Maryland alum, so I'll be interested to find out what he thinks about this. He does a really good job of talking Maryland basketball. But I have a question for you before we get to Kevin. Darren, I've been talking about this. I don't understand it.
Cho.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why is he not playing?
4 minutes.
Why is he not playing? He's 7'2". Are you going to tell me that against Michigan State, he could not have made a difference on the offense on the glass? Are you going to tell me somebody 7'2"
And I'm
is
watching
not
him
going to
too.
have any kind of effect
He's
on the game at
five-star
all?
Kid,
Why is he not playing?
He's a hell of a talent, especially on the defensive
I don't
end.
get it. I don't understand why this man is not playing.
I'm watching him. He's moving well too. I'm not. It doesn't concern me of.
It concerns me.
No, I mean how he's moving, his mobility and things like that. It doesn't seem to be an issue.
Okay.
So I don't know what it is. I really don't. What does concern me? These are the last 4 games Sticks field goal attempts, right? I'm a big field goal attempt guy.
I know you are.
You know that.
Yeah.
Got to get my looks.
Anything less than 20, you ain't happy with.
Exactly.
Okay. Go ahead. Give them to me.
Ohio State, 8 shots. Minnesota, 10 shots. Michigan State, 10 shots. And Rutgers, 11 shots.
He should be getting 15 to 18 shots a game.
Inside
Easily.
and outside.
Yeah. You're right. I get it. I understand. There should be – I'm going to say the last thing about
because
the
with,
offense.
before you get to that,
Okay.
with more shots from Sticks and that you get more high percentage shots.
Right.
Okay? Because
right.
occasionally he's going to shoot his 3, which he
Right.
does shoot it at a high clip, but you're going to get shots around the basket. I'd like to see Scott get some more shots around the basket. I'd like to see Wiggins, if his 3 ball isn't falling, I'd like to see him get some mid-range and some, he's athletic. He can jump right over his defender, get some more high percentage shots closer to the basket because it was a dismal 18% from 3, 6 for 32 against Rutgers.
Yeah.
That's not going to get it done, especially when that's majority of your shots that you're taking are from distance.
Yeah.
And that I think that's why Sticks isn't getting his looks because they're spreading the floor and they're relying on that outside shot. And we're kind of cold right now.
Yeah, you're right. And
let's see what Kev has to say about it.
Yeah, let's talk to Kevin Sheehan and find out what he thinks because I know he's going to have some thoughts on this and he's probably just as frustrated as we are. But Kevin's forever the optimist, so I'm sure he'll find the silver lining in this somehow. So we'll be back with Kevin Sheehan from Team 980 from the Kevin Sheehan Show, and we'll talk to him about what he sees with these Terps.
I'm upset.
I know you are. I am too. I can hear it in your voice.
Hey, this is Kevin.
Kevin.
Hey, Kevin, what's up, man? How are you?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well.
Kev, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Is that Darren?
Yes, it is.
What's up, Coach?
We trying to peel the layers back of what's going on in College Park, and we're gonna get your take on it, man.
I'm not worked up over this. First of all, last night, I actually on the air yesterday basically predicted a blowout loss. I just thought it was a bad setup, guys, last night. They were playing a good team, a great team at home on senior night. They had 6 days rest. Maryland was playing their 4th game in 10 days. And this Big Ten has just been an incredible grind on the road. Now, they didn't play well, and Rutgers did play well. And, if you want to be concerned about their defense in the last few games, that's fine. I think that's justified. But it's not going to surprise me at all if they come back Sunday and beat Michigan and end up with at least a share of the Big Ten title and go to Indianapolis and play well. I think they're a good team. They just went through a brutal stretch of the schedule. They played 3 games on the road and a game at home against Michigan State.
Yeah.
3 of those teams are going to the tournament. And it's, everybody in the Big Ten this year has had stretches where they haven't looked good, played well, and they've struggled in particular on the road. There are certain things that I'd like to see more of, but I'm not alarmed like, many in the fan base are.
Well, I'm gonna say this, and I agree with you, Kevin. I listened to you this morning, and you do a great job every morning, really kind of peeling the layers back about Maryland and some of the things that a lot of the Maryland supporters want to hear, and some they don't want to hear as far as where they are. My concern is, and let me know how you feel about this, it's their starts. Like, they get off to these bad starts and they put themselves in these positions where, they have to overcome huge deficits, and you can't sustain that consistently. Like, that can't be something that you hang your hat on, getting off to bad starts, and then all of a sudden you come back and but it's worked for them. But what do you see as, why are they struggling so much at the beginning? I mean, I have my thoughts on it, but what do you think? Why are they struggling so much at the beginning of games?
Well, I hear you, but, with that said, our fan base likes to say that we get behind in every game, and that's not true. We were blowing out Michigan State in the first half on the road, up 15. We had a lead on Indiana in the first half, and then went down, and then came back. We were blowing, Northwestern out, Purdue out. We actually, against Nebraska, had a big lead and nearly gave it up. So
Right.
it's not like every single game we go out and we're down, 15 at halftime.
Right.
That's a bit of an exaggeration. With that said, on the road this year, they have definitely, had some big deficits.
Right.
Even at home against Illinois early, in the year. And you're right. If you're going to make a deep run and you consistently fall behind in games, even if it's in the second half after having a lead in the first half, and you've got to overcome deficits, you're not winning 6 games in a row.
Right.
If that happens every night. You're not going to win 4 in a row to get to the Final Four. But I also think when they get to the tournament, after the grind that they've been through, when they're playing teams that don't know them as well, haven't scouted them nearly as well as these other teams in conference, I think it's going to be easier for them and for the rest of the teams in the league. I think this league's been so head and shoulders above every other league in America this year that a lot of teams from the Big Ten are going to have a chance to do well in the NCAA tournament.
Now, Kev, tell me this, man. Well, a lot of people are giving Turge a lot of heat, right? And I'm tending to be one that leans towards the players actually putting a lot of onus on the players. Big time players play in big time situations, and leaders of the team actually go out and lead and pick up their teammates when they're down and put them on their shoulders and put them on their back when they need to. What do you think about the job that Turge has done?
Well, this. You coach. Here's what I hear from friends of mine and callers and people on Twitter. He doesn't make any adjustments. And I'm thinking to myself, you don't know anything. In fact, I think he makes sometimes too many adjustments.
Right.
Last night he's switching defenses. We've seen him play a 1-3-1, a 3-2, and a 2-3 in the same game along with man-to-man.
Right.
We've seen him go with a lot of perimeter stuff 5 out to last night in the second half, trying to run, post stuff through Morcell and then through sticks. He makes a lot of adjustments, but to your point, how many wide open looks did they have last night from behind the arc? Now, you can say they shouldn't have been shooting that many threes. They were wide open. Dante Scott had multiple wide open looks. Wiggins had open looks, and they were 2 for their first 20. If they shoot poorly last night instead of atrociously, they probably have the lead at halftime in that game.
Right.
They got to make some shots. Bottom line, I thought, last night was not the night to blame Turgeon, for not making adjustments or not having them prepared. I didn't see it that way. I saw a team that went 2 for 20 from behind the arc with a lot of those shots being wide open. And I saw a team in Rutgers last night who, by the way, our fans think it's Rutgers, like you got to beat Rutgers.
Right.
They were favored. That's a good team. Kevin and Darren, don't you think that dude Geo Baker's got like next level?
Yeah, he's
ability?
Good. He's really good.
Yeah, he's definitely got pro potential.
I thought he was the best player on the floor last night. And they're not 10-9 in the league because they stink. They've beaten a lot of good teams this year.
Yeah,
and they're 18-1 at home, Kev.
18-1 in last night's senior night. That was the toughest ticket they said that they've had for a home game in over 10 years. They got to go back to the Big East days to have a ticket that was in that much demand. It was just look, it sounds like I'm making excuses for Maryland, but if you go back through their season, they've had, nights where you thought the next morning they were really good, and they've had a few nights, not many, where the next morning you thought, uh-oh, they're in trouble. We've had many more nights this year where they've looked like a legitimate, deep into the tournament team, and I just think they're in a tough stretch right now, and they're not playing well, but they've also faced a brutal stretch of their schedule with a couple of games that were going to be tough going into them.
I'm going to tell you, I think that with Turgeon, I think it's unfair for him because he's following Gary Williams. And I think when you follow a legend or you follow someone like Gary Williams who, was won a championship, who's won a lot of games, a lot of big games at Maryland, it's tough to really carve your own niche as a coach. And when you start and you know how it is, man, you're under a magnifying glass as a coach at Maryland. The players are under magnifying glass. So I think it's difficult for him because he's fighting that as well. People want him to be Gary, or people want him to be as successful as Gary was.
Well, Kev, I came up following you, man, so I know what you're talking about.
Right, exactly. So it's tough to follow someone that's had so much success, and anytime they lose games or anytime they don't play well, then it's going to say, okay, well, Mark Turgeon can't coach. I don't agree with that. I think Turgeon's a good coach. I think he's proven it for years. The one thing I'd like to see them do, I think they have the most athletic team in the Big Ten. I'd like to see them push tempo a little bit more, maybe press, maybe take advantage of their versatility on defense and the things that they have, maybe to get into a game where they can run a little bit more as opposed to just settling for half-court offenses, which is what they do a lot. And when you're struggling and you're not making shots, I think you have to find another way to be able to impose your will if you're not making shots, because that's been the big thing for them all years. They haven't been consistent from the outside. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, you're so right. Like, it's so much easier, as you guys know, to not face a set defense than to face a set defense.
Right.
But to get out and play with pace, you got to get stops and rebounds.
Right.
And last night, Rutgers shot 50% and out-rebounded Maryland and had second-chance points, just like Michigan State did the other night. So, we also know, like, Darren, how many times, like, I can remember many a parent coming up and saying, man, why don't you guys run more? And I'd say, well, you got to get stops and rebounds first.
Yeah, before you run, yes.
If not, you're throwing the ball inbounds from behind the baseline. So that's number one. I'll tell you a quick funny story. Last summer, we were out playing golf with Turge, and Scott was in town. It was Scott, me, Turge, a friend of ours, Joe Preston. And Scott and I had been talking, like, before the round, and he said, "Are we going to talk to him about pace of play? We need to increase pace next year, right?" And this is over the summer.
Right.
And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, we got to tell him." And so about the, number 10, number 11 on the back nine, Scott says to me, "Hey, Coach, Kevin's got something he wants to tell you." He's got an idea for you. So I just, he was a good sport about it. We laughed about it, but I said, we just think you should be playing a little bit faster with the talent that you have.
Right.
And he just threw his arms up in the air and said, everybody in this city's a coach, and he laughed about it. And then he said, no, we're actually going to try to play with more pace this coming year. And it's true, they have. But, this is a tough league. You're scouted well. Teams get back defensively well. I think we'll see more pace in the tournament when they're playing unfamiliar teams.
Right.
But you said something else, too, and the Gary thing. He knows he's not Gary. He was on with me 3 weeks ago, and he said, look, I know I'm not an elite coach. I think I'm a really good coach. And he said, one of the things I do really well is I relate to young people, and I'm able to motivate young people. I've evolved, and I know how to deal with the player of today. And you know what, guys? I've seen with him consistently, with the exception of maybe some of the players on that Diamond Stone team, that they respond to him.
Right.
They're more tuned in than tuned out with him. And we've seen teams tune out from coaches all the time.
Sure.
With all of this said, he's got to get better results. I recognize that too. As an alum, and Kevin, you're an alum, this should be a program that is in more than one Sweet 16 in the last 8 years.
That's true.
He's got to get better results. I think he's a good coach. I think he's a much better coach than our fan base thinks he is. I think he's an exceptional defensive coach usually. But he's got to, this team's got to get to the second weekend at least.
Where are they are they a number 3 seed now? Do you think they've dropped to the 3 line, or where do you see them right now? I mean, I know.
Well, Lunardi apparently is going to drop them to the 3 line. Jerry Palm apparently is keeping them on the 2 line, and he essentially said, look, no one else has really stepped up either.
Right.
If they beat Michigan and they're at least a co-Big Ten champion and they win a game or 2 next weekend, they're not going to be worse than a 3, and they still have a shot to be a 2. What is out the what's out the off the table now
is the 1
for them, which was in play a week ago, is potentially being a 1
right.
if they really won some games down the stretch. But I mean, could they lose to Michigan, lose in the first round of the Big Ten tournament, and be a 4? Yeah, that could happen. Because they wouldn't be the Big Ten co-champion, and now you're talking about a 2nd or 3rd place finish in the league. But if they win Sunday and win a game next weekend, I can't see them being worse than a 3, and I think more likely than not they'd be a 2.
All right. Well, I know you are forever the optimist, man. That's why I love listening to you, because you definitely, you had to talk some people off the ledge this morning. I know, because they're just they're fired
well,
up,
man.
man.
Team.
They
are
are
a good team, right? I mean, they've got talent. They're good, and I may have a different tune on Monday. If they lose Sunday to Michigan at home, I'll feel differently. I think this is a game they should win. Last night I didn't think that was a game they should win.
Right.
I didn't think they should have won at Ohio State. I was hoping they'd beat Michigan State at home, but I knew Izzo, after losing to them in East Lansing, would have his team ready.
Right.
The Minnesota game was a near loss, but they didn't lose. They came back and won. If they lose to Michigan, I'll be more concerned, but I'm not concerned right now. I think they've got more, several more wins in them. At least a couple more before they get to the tournament, and then hopefully you can win 2 and get to New York. The seeding to me is less important than I'd like them to be in that East Regional, where if they can win 2 games, they can get to Madison Square Garden, where they would have a lot of Maryland.
Fans. Yeah, they would.
Well, Sunday at noon, we have the last home game for Anthony Cowan. It'll be an emotional day for him. I know he's got a lot of supporters that are coming out to bid him farewell in his stellar career. What a career he's had. All-time leader in starts for Maryland. He's been playing solid for 4 years, and I always challenge him because of the relationship we have, and he's going to be big coming down the stretch. He's going to have to play better. I keep telling him he's got to play better. Even though he's had some good games, he's got to play better.
Yeah, I mean, I hope he's listening to you. I mean, he hasn't shot it well. He's still, I love when he's aggressive, and when he gets into the paint, and he's been finding people. Last night, he should have had 6-7 assists if people could have knocked down shots.
Right.
Hell, I don't know if he's going to play at the next level, Darren, but he could have a career like you did, which is playing in about 39 different countries over about 20 years and scoring a lot of points.
Absolutely.
Because he's going to be playing basketball, I think, for a long time, hopefully.
Yeah. You going to be there Sunday?
I'll be there Sunday.
All right, good deal. Well, Kev, listen, man, we appreciate it. You coming on, taking some time. I know it's been a busy day for you. You've been answering a lot of questions about these guys, and let's just hope on Sunday we can get a win. But we'll be tuning in for sure every day, Monday through Friday, the Kevin Sheehan Show on 7 to 10. Is that right? 7 to 10 on Sports Talk Night. All right.
Yeah, and anytime you guys want me, I'm more than happy to do it. I always love catching up with both of you.
Yeah, you just asked Kevin about Anthony, and it's crazy. It's his last home game. It's his final time playing in front of the home crowd, and what a career he's had. He's had a tremendous career, and one that definitely needs to be appreciated. I don't think people realize how much Anthony Cowan meant until he's no longer playing in a Terps uniform. What's your take on him? How do you feel?
I think he's had a very solid career.
Yeah.
He came in the door starting right away. There were a lot of expectations. There were a lot of doubters as well as a freshman. But I think he's handled that pressure. He's been handling pressure. He's been playing with a chip on his shoulders his whole life, man. And, you know, as I've gotten to know him over the years, you know, he lives for the big moment.
Right.
And there's no bigger moment than right now, the situation that Maryland is in right now. They're slumping, and he's personally slumping from a shooting standpoint,
right.
not from a game management standpoint, but from a shooting standpoint at the wrong time.
Right.
You know, if it wasn't for a buzzer beater by Morcell, we're looking at a 4-game losing streak.
Right.
You know, and what it all rests on, it comes down to the point guard.
Right.
You know, for the basketball purists, so to speak. So, you know, all eyes are on him, and you know this is his last game. He's gonna have a lot of supporters there Sunday. It'll be an emotional game. I just hope he can you know control his emotions and play and manage the game and chef the table and do what he's built to do. You know, I challenge him all the time, and you know, on here I challenge him with you, and I say, you know, he's got to play better.
Right. Right.
You know, big time players. I say it all the time, and I can't say it enough. Big time players play in big time situations. You know, and it's tough. It's
right.
tough because Maryland is, you know, it's really him and sticks from an offensive output standpoint, and that's tough when you're being played the second time
right.
by these teams in your conference, and they're geared up for you. And I saw a couple possessions especially against Michigan State, where you know they put a bigger defender on them, man, and they, you know, it looked like they've been scouting him for 7 days straight. Right. You know, they know where he's going before he gets there. You know, he's so cat quick that, you know, even that's not enough sometimes. But you know, it's gonna be tough. You know, this is the 25th ranked team, Michigan Wolverines, coming in here, and they need this game really bad.
Right. Well, I know from the standpoint of senior night, you know, I remember when I played in my last game at Cole, and it's amazing because all those years you played, and you don't think about your last game. You just play, and now, you know, you play, you practice, you play,
programmed
you
to
practice.
Think next game.
You just think about the next game, But then eventually those next games, they add up. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden you're looking at the last week, and you look at that last game, and you're like, oh my God, where are my 4 years gone?
Right.
And
especially in this building.
Especially in that building, and you appreciate it even more because of the fan support and being the face of the program, and you know, especially being a point guard, you're that leader. And I can only imagine what the emotions going to be, because I know a lot of times guys are like, oh, it doesn't matter, it's just another game. That's not another game. You're playing your last game at the University of Maryland. And when, I'm telling you, when they announce his name, you know, because I remember when it was with me, when they announced, and Mom was with me, we announce your name, and you walk out on that court, and you see your coach, and you shake hands with your coach, just like I did with Gary Williams, and you shake hands, and you look at him, you're like, wow, this is the last time I'm gonna be playing for this man in this gym, in this facility, and it hits you at that point.
Yeah,
and it's tough. It's really, really tough to deal with. And you have to get rid of those emotions, and you have to go play a game, and that's the hardest part, is having to deal with that dynamic of being your last game, and then all of a sudden you're playing against a big time opponent in Michigan with a lot on the line. So you got to figure out a way to juggle that and deal with it. But man, it's hard. It really is hard. And I know, but Anthony's had a tremendous career. I'm very proud of him. I know you're proud of him. And but I know he's got a lot of work to do. We still have work to do. The season is not over. Obviously, after Sunday, that's when the season starts, to be honest with you. So we'll see how that all plays out. Who you got, man? What you think? What score you got for the game on Sunday?
It's a must win for Maryland. I think if they beat Michigan, they clinch at least a share for the Big Ten regular season title, and they haven't done that. You know, they finished top 3 a couple times, but that'll be big for them going confidence wise. Also going in, they've got to end this streak. You know, they haven't played well in the last 4 games. I've got Maryland stepping up 8 to 10 point win.
Really?
8 to 10 point win.
I'm going to go 15-point win.
15. Not going to Delaware with that. I'll go
I'm going
with my
15-point
prediction.
win. I'll go 74-59.
It's going to be a lot of emotions in there, man. We'll see. Juwan
74-59.
Howard's going to have them guys coming
I
in
know
here
he is.
ready to play.
I know he is, but I have Maryland winning this game going away. I do. And we'll be able to silence all these critics and silence all the naysayers and all the shade and everything like that that's going on right now.
Oh, because there's plenty of it.
There's plenty of it right now. Well, it's plenty of it. So, but I got them winning this game. But it's going to be a big one. It's going to be a big one.
There's a lot of nervous people in College Park right about now. The face of the team, has kind of changed. In the eyes of the fans. So it's good to peel the layers back and chop it up and figure out the why. See what's going on and why is it going on.
But at the end of the day, after this game Sunday, it's a brand new season. It doesn't matter what you did the last 2 months of the season.
Funny how that happens,
week.
right?
It's a brand new season. So, but we'll see. Sunday will be a big one. But I think Maryland will pull through. For Darren McClinton, this is Kevin McClinton for another episode of College Park. Tune in next week as we chop it up after this Michigan game and go into the Big Ten tournament, hopefully with a lot of confidence.
Let's do it.